decided to make a very awkward for you setup, tour divide setup video before I take apart my bike camping setup on my bike and get ready to practice riding it on single track for an upcoming race that has gravel, single track, and road. Probably be my last race on this bike this year while I focus on cyclocross racing. And so I tend to run cold, and so I have a lot of clothes in my kit that I think some people wouldn't bring. This worked out pretty well when we had that winter weather, winter storm in Montana. I was in Montana, some people were still in Canada. And so I'm glad I had it, and I would bring all that stuff again, but it ends up being a little bit bulky and kind of funny. Just to start with a few things that were on my body. So splash pouch that I kept in the back pocket of my jersey. It usually had my cue sheet, and then also my phone, because I have problems with moisture getting in the charging jack on my phone, and then it doesn't want to let me charge. Maybe I'm sweatier than other people. Also have my Orange Mud hydration pack. This has a 2-liter bladder, which is probably about all the weight that you want to carry on your back. It has a zippered pocket right here, and so I'd stuff a lot of food in there, like what I wanted to eat at night, where I was going to sleep, in the morning where I was going to sleep. And then it also has lots of pockets in the front, and so usually there was food in 3 out of 4 of these big pockets. One would be my trash pocket. See, I have a Nature's Bakery bar in there. I ate those where I could find them, which is mostly in Colorado. On the front of my bike, I have a Topeak front loader, and that allows me to just pop off my tent super quickly. And so I had a big Agnes Fly Creek, the bike packing specific version, because it's nice because it has the shorter tent poles. I'm a small person, so there's not a lot of places that longer tent poles can fit on my bike. They don't really fit under my top tube here, so I'm kind of limited. So I've got it in between the handlebars. That worked out really well. I've got 2 freeloaders, Topeak freeloaders, so one on either side of my bike. In both of them have Nalgene. It does come kind of right under the armrests on my aero bars. It didn't bother me at all. Sometimes it took a little bit of wiggling to get them in there. I just don't have a very big rise. So in the places where water was short, I would have water in both of these. Most of the time, the one on the left side, I just packed more food in there. I ate a lot of Carson salted nut rolls. You can jam a lot of those in here. A lot of Cliff Bars were in there too. There's side pockets on the freeloaders, and so one of them, hand sanitizer, bug spray, which wasn't always effective. And then on the other side, I usually kept some sanitizing wipes for various needs. For unknown reasons, I had 3 chapsticks, 2 of which had sun protection in them, and one which is the one I just like. I guess I was worried about. Have lips, an inhaler, which I never had to use. I just have an occasional exercise-induced asthma. Also have a top loader on my top tube. I swap out the Velcro straps and use relay straps, just because I think it looks a little bit cleaner. And I always kept just food for the day in there that I was eating. Started with Trader Joe's candy, but there weren't a lot of Trader Joe's in the stops. These tangy turtles were really good. And then I ate a lot of, I had both either breakfast sandwiches, and right now it's just one Nature's Bakery bars, but there's a lot of Cliff Bars and stuff in there as well. On my fork, I have Topeak Versa cages, and mounted on those, I have Revlet polecat bags, relay straps, and so the Versa cages are nice because you just have to loosen the bolts to slide the cages off. You don't have to take the bolts all the way off, which gets kind of annoying. And so usually on the right side, I was thinking rain side for no apparent reason. And I kept things that, even though it's in a dry bag, things that I wouldn't mind getting wet if I put them all together. So for my water treatment, I have the Catadine Be Free 3 liters always seemed like more than I ever needed, but that's what I had. And then also in here I have, in case that failed, I do have water treatment drops somewhere nestled in the bottom of here. So the 2-part water treatment drops in here, just as a backup in case something weird happened with my filter. This is where I kept my rain gear. So I have the Outdoor Research helium jacket. It's not bike specific, but it's really lightweight. It has a hood on it. You can stuff it down into a pocket. On the days where rain was threatening, I just had it like jammed in my jersey pocket, ready to pull out. High-tech gear. So plastic bags for vapor barriers. Also a few like little vinyl gloves and shower cap and dog poop bags and good stuff to pick up for when it's really cold and wet. And it doesn't take up much room, which is nice. So these are REI Gore-Tex shell mittens. So since I was riding single speed, I don't need a lot of dexterity. And so in the winter storm, I was wearing these over my warmer gloves, which I'll pull out in a minute. And they work pretty well, except that I could get one secured under my raincoat, and then I didn't have the dexterity to stick the other one under my raincoat, so water eventually moved in. So I kind of had like one cold hand. Also have Outdoor Research rain pants. And then I had this little strap to keep them rolled up, and then I'd use that as my ankle strap to keep it from flopping around. These also aren't bike specific, really dirty, and probably didn't survive all of the riding on them in the winter, but they did a great job. These are unisex, so a little bit hard to push down over the hips, but made it work. A lot of fun. Thanks, the winter storm. It's a little awkward. So this is just a bear hanging system, and so you put all the food in here. I usually hung the hydration pack too, because I had Gatorade in there, so it smelled sugary. And so it's just rope and then a like weighted bag that you can use, and then put this over the tree and then pull all your stuff up. And then in the bottom of here, I never used a buff. Everyone says bring a buff. The only thing I used mine for was protecting my tube from getting holes in it. So this is a replacement tube I bought after I realized the first tube that I put in my tool bag was Swiss cheese when I went to use it. So I was trying to keep this in somewhere away from pokey things. Protected. It still looks pretty good. So that was the right side. You can see these are pretty easy to pull off, like when you're getting ready to go into camp at night, which is one of the things I like about them. So on the other side, these are the layers that I wear while I was riding if it was cold. So pretty much this bag was like packed full and I didn't do anything with it in New Mexico. But in Canada and Montana at the beginning, it was pretty much empty. So this is a Smart Wool beanie, the 150, and so it's relatively lightweight. You don't overheat. I like to have a little rag in case you get muddy and need to wipe down. So this is just a really small microfiber towel. This is the Patagonia, I think it's the Nano Puff vest. The reason I brought this was because I know that if it's below 40 and rainy, I tend to get really cold, and so I wanted something synthetic that I could wear under my raincoat because it was going to get sweaty, but I thought would still provide warmth. And I think that worked out pretty well, having that. And then I'd also wear it like at camp at the end of the day and stuff. Also something I used a lot in Canada and Montana at the beginning of the race, darn tough, thick wool socks. You're going through a lot of water crossings, getting wet, trying to keep the feet warm. These are 45 North Noken gloves, and so they're kind of a shoulder season glove, and so they're not as big and bulky as a winter glove. They have some water resistance. These were really great in the winter weather too. Pretty comfy and not too thick, so I'm super glad that I brought those. I didn't really figure those out until later in spring this year. Okay, shoe covers are pretty debatable. These are a replacement pair because the pair that I had got completely destroyed. These are by Physics, and I do think that they're not good for walking in. Definitely not good for walking the snow in because it's just going to pack up under there. But once you get to the top and you're ready to descend, then it protects your toes that are probably already wet from the wind. So I'd probably take them again, and then do the same thing and throw them away when I got to warmer places. Also carried thermal arm warmers. These ones survive. Locio, and the corresponding thermal leg warmers. Not very exciting. Just black, thick leg warmers. I didn't use this very often, but a wind vest. They're nice because they're so small and easy to pack. This is also Locio. Something I used very often was Smart Wool base layer t-shirt, and so I'd use this as a base layer right for when I was riding, but also just for my casual shirt wearing around. Kind of all the nice things that people say about wool. It wasn't terrible to wear on the airport back home either. Then I have my frame bag, and so this is a custom frame bag by Rock Dice. And so I'm just going to start with the bottom. These are kind of like the heavier things, so my tools. So I have a Topeak rapid ratchet set, which thankfully I did not use very often at all. It has a chain breaker in it, it has bits, has a ratchet, which is really nice, and I also have some lucky coins in there. It has tire levers. I also brought some thicker ones, just because I wanted to be really sure that I could get the tire off. So I bring this in my everyday riding. I keep one on my commuter. I can just kind of do everything. Also Topeak Race Rocket mountain pump. And so this one has the hose that you can thread onto your valve. And so you can make sure that you're not really like torquing on the valve or breaking it. I had a lot of issues with punctures, and so I did use this quite a bit. Another thing that's kind of nice on it is if you take off the other end, that's actually a valve core removal tool, so if you have to add more sealant, that makes it easy that it's nice and integrated right there. And it works pretty quickly too. I did carry a lock with me. Yeah, see this one's by On Guard, and I mean it's not very thick. Not a great deterrent, but when I was going into like a diner or cafe or something, it made me feel better to have it on there. And it's pretty light, it doesn't take a lot of room. So this is just like my random tools, which I'll go through. There's one last thing in here, I don't want to forget. It's a little funky to get out though. I'll just take one of them out. So I had spare spokes. So for my wheel build, there's pretty much 2 lengths that will cover all of them, and so I just had one of each length in there. Patch kit, I didn't patch my air mattress, or air pad, it didn't work. I have kind of a bacon strip system. This I did buy on the way. I did carry full-size Allens of 4, 5, and 6. That's to adjust my eccentric. It's just nice to have a longer lever to get in there. You can do it with the rapid ratchet, but it's a little frustrating. I didn't want to deal with that. And then also for the chain breaker tool, like if my hands were cold, I wasn't going to be able to do it with just the rapid ratchet alone. And so full length 5mm gives me more torque. Spare cleats in here, some spare bolts, full-size tire levers. This is Stan's dart tool, which I did use for repairing a puncture in a tubeless tire. Lots of zip ties, electrical tape, spoke wrench for if I had to use those spare spokes. I had 4 spare sets of brake pads with me. I used one of them down to 3. These are pretty heavy. I use TRP, and so it's not necessarily a standard brake pad. I was worried people weren't going to have them stocked. Also, a spare bite valve for my hydration system, because I've gone on a trip and had that get a leak in it, and it's really obnoxious. Spare batteries, heart rate monitor, cadence meter, which stopped working anyway. Carry extra length of chain. Since I ride single speed, if the chain breaks, you can't just shorten it. And so I have extra length of chain and then extra quick lengths so that you can stick that in there. And those are in the keg under my down tube. So there I had an extra bit of rag for wiping off my chain. I started with T9 lube, which I use a lot in Michigan. I didn't find that in stock, and so this is the wolf tooth that was recommended. It seemed okay. Bottle of stands, which I did use and had to replace. Have the wolf tooth chain tool, and this is where all the extra quick links are inside of that. Have a Leatherman skill tool. I did have to use the pliers. Broke my headphone, broke something in my headphone jack on my phone, so I pried that out. Tire boots and patches. Spare valve core. Lucky plastic unicorn. Those are all my tools. Then in the top, probably not good hygiene. I just shoved my toothbrush in there. No, I don't cut mine down or do anything to it. I did take my prescription glasses with me. They're on my face right now, but I keep those in there so that I can read at night. Can't do that without glasses anymore. Kept electronic stuff in here, so I carry 2 external batteries. One is hooked up to my sine wave beacon light, and so then that powers that from the dynamo hub, and then an extra one, so I'm just really worried about energy management. I've had issues with that before. And then charging cord for my phone, and then 2 of the USB minis that would do my inReach and my computer, my lights and everything, so I wanted to be able to do both of those at the same time. And to go with that, 2 blocks to plug into the walls and utilize a full outlet. Headlamp for camp, and also when I was running at night, so good to see bitters side to side. I did have toe warmers and hand warmers. These don't work that well when it's wet. I did use some once and just carried the rest of them. Usually kept literally this full size of sunscreen in there, so I'd go all the way through that. Also, sometimes I started with the small, I like the Neutrogena Sport Face, so I started with that. Also, a full thing of chamois butter. The full Tour Divide trip took me 1 tube of chamois butter. I like to keep a fillet strap on there just to keep it rolled down and easy to go, and then if for some reason you need it to secure something, it's your backup strap. Matches. Bronzers, stuff that's washing out my chamois in a hotel or river or something. Use the bronzers or for showering. For the wipe down before. First aid kit, never had to use anything in here. Needles, thread, gauze, ibuprofen. I did have Dramamine to get home on the plane and for the bus ride home in there, so I carried that the whole trip. That's my second power bank, and so I have the cable running into here, so I can, if I'm going too slow for the dynamo hub to give me power, then I can power the light from here, or it can charge this, and so and then I have it running. There's one cable just running up to the computer because that was what I was charging myself, and then that's work. That's the front side. The back side, there's just a long, we call it mat pocket, and so I have another splash pouch, and I have my passport in it. usually kept the map. I did carry the Adventure Cycling Association maps with me, and I usually kept just the one I was using for the day, or if I was crossing across two for the day in there, so it's easy for me to grab and look at night. I read every night, so I got a map pocket just so I could fit my Kindle somewhere on there. And that's also, like I said, why I had to bring glasses. I didn't keep a mask on me the whole time. I didn't really use it until the bus ride home. And then I have a Write in the Rain outdoor journal. I had a really nice space pen. I put it somewhere where I wouldn't lose it, which means I won't see it again until I buy a new one. That's everything in the frame bag. And then in the back, I have the Toe Peak back loader. And so I like this because it's got space for a clip for my blinky light on the back. I really like having that, especially when I was riding at night. It's got the bungees on the top. And so I've got my InReach Mini up here. It's not just held on by this, that's a carabiner that locks. I was really worried about me losing my InReach, but it was fine. I use my Cam shoes a ton. I don't know how people live right now. I use them for some of the climbs, actually, when I was just going to be pushing my single speed. And then it's nice to have, like, not wear my cycling shoes. On the airplane back, actually, I abandoned my cycling shoes because they were broken. And so the way that this works is there's actually a dry bag inside the whole holster system. So just release that there. And then if you're ready to set up camp at night, then you can pull the whole dry bag out. Sorry, I'm on the screen. You can pull the whole dry bag out and just haul that to your camp. The other thing that was in here that you might have heard fall out is all the extra maps that I wasn't using. I packed on the sides of the dry bag. Which is actually 7 whole maps in here. I did mail 3 of them back while I was hanging out in the waiting for my brakes to get wet. I also have my air mattress in there. Packing it without the stuff sack is apparently not advisable because mine kept getting more and more holes in it faster than I could patch them. So it was not working very well by the end. I still haven't addressed that. Alright, so the last thing, I can definitely attest the dry bag works because all my stuff stayed nice and toasty dry while I was pushing my bike in the pouring rain. So in here, I've got my sleeping bag, and then I have my oh shit clothes, or clothes that you can only use if you're in a safe, dry place, or if it's an absolute emergency. This is I forgot the name of this sleeping bag, but I will post it. It's a 3-season sleeping bag, so definitely not good when it actually gets down to below freezing. I have a fleece beanie that I wear at night. I have, let's see. Here's one of them. There's Velocio Alpha gloves, and they've got kind of a fuzzy liner in them. I wear those sleeping a few times. These are Smart Wool tights. I had some running shorts that I would wear when it was warmer or when I was washing clothes at the laundry. This is a Velocio warm long sleeve. A second pair of bib shorts, so I tried to rotate and make sure to wash them every day. That really helped. There's the big glove. Socks to just wear at night while I was sleeping, so they had to stay dry. The last thing in here was another puppy, but this one is down, so I definitely had to keep it dry. I made sure to get one with a hood to retain heat, and I definitely woke up pretty toasty sometimes, so this was super nice. I think that's everything. On the bike, other than kind of the bike kit itself, which I'll probably do once I get more of the junk taken off. Thanks.